You guys can go ahead with your questions.
Hello, Manu sir.
Hello, Manu sir.
Hi.
I am inquiry about the Tata Motors. Tata,
Tata Motors. Okay, let's not get into any specific stock because then I'll have to open the chart and go through that. If you have any general thing, that I would be happy to discuss. Specifics will be
I
a bit
just
tough right now.
I just only
Um,
ask about 500 above if sustained, then what a breakout you will the
okay. Manoj, a big fan, Shakil. For many years, I've been watching you. A few of the non-toxic trading influences out there. My question to you is that when trading comes about, a lot of people talk. Most of the people talk about getting into profits as quickly as they could. But I feel there is a certain. I feel that losses are sometimes inevitable. So, like uh, towards that, what might you add? On the part of the loss inevitability in the market.
Thanks for the kind words. So, yeah, that's right. Losses are inevitable. What we have to always keep in mind is, as a trader, whatever is the quantum of loss, the quantum of profit should be much, much higher. So, if you're betting, uh, let's say, 1,000 rupees on a particular trade, then you should be able to make at least double of that or more, maybe. Uh, Without taking the risk, I mean, making money is not possible. So losses are inevitable, and then how everyone has their way of dealing with it. Some people are very chill about it. Some people take it very differently. So that is where if you have the same strategy, everyone will not be able to run it the same manner, because everyone will have a different sense of how they take losses, right? That is why you know, what happens is, if you there's a lot of comparison that happens between option selling, option buying, right? So to do option, the basic difference is the loss appetite or the kind of drawdowns you can see in a buying option buying scenario. You will have to go through decent drawdowns of at least 20, 30, 40% even. The returns might be better. But in case of option selling, the drawdowns you can curtail to less than 10% as well. For again, the returns would be lower, but the drawdowns would be lower as well. So it's on the individual how they take things, and that is what determines, I feel, the kind of returns a person makes.
Thank you for that, Manoj sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, Manu sir. Abhishek here.
Hi, Abhishek.
Hi, you are such an inspiration for me. I learned trading from you. Sir, actually, I have a few questions. That first of all, that what is the most important indicator do you use in entire trading of yours? And second one is like how to backtest our strategies.
Hmm. Okay. So, not a big fan of indicators, but if I have to use one, it'll be a simple moving average, just to get a sense of how things are, I mean, how the prices are moving. Other than that, I don't really use many indicators. And if you want to backtest, the simplest way is to first define rules, be as objective as possible. And once you've defined the rules, open the chart and open an Excel, start backtesting, putting down the trades according to I mean, go through the rules as it triggers a signal, keep logging in into an Excel, and yeah, that's the most simplest way of doing it. If you know how to code, you're decent with that, then you can also code the strategy. The way I do it, the way I prefer doing it is, I start off with a manual backtest, open the chart, scan through it for at least first 50, 60 trades. If I feel that the strategy is promising, it's something that it's worth investing time in, then I'll go ahead and code it so that great, I mean, larger amount of data can be backtested. So that's my process. That's how I do it. A lot of people have this blockage that if I cannot, I mean, if they cannot code, then the backtesting piece is very difficult. That's not the case. You can easily do the backtesting manually as well. Put in a couple of hours daily. It'll take time, a few weeks, probably a couple of months, but almost everything can be sort of backtested manually as well.
So, sir, if you don't use any indicator, so I must like you are using price action only, I guess.
That is correct, Abhishek.
Fine, sir. Thank you so much, sir. And sir, one more thing. Why are you so bullish in idea?
Idea I'm bullish because if you look at the chart structure, uh, uh, it broke a resistance which was around, I think, uh, around 13, and it broke it with great volumes, and then it retested it. It came down to around 13, 13.3, and that is the place. I mean, it's a textbook thing, right? Retest of a breakout, you buy. So that's why I'm bullish, and extra bullish because if you look at the volumes on the daily chart, clearly
Mhm.
the green bars are much healthier, have healthier volumes compared to the red bars. So that's the reason it's a good entry point, small stop loss, and potential high reward. That's the reason.
Thank you, sir. Thank
Um,
you.
So I have one more question for you that to a certain points when you have a stable growth in your trading account, I do feel that at a certain point trading gets a little boring. I guess if you know what I mean, the position sizing is right and everything you're trying to do is right and right, but after a certain point, it's really gets very frustrating. Just sitting in and out there having small returns. So now when you trade so big quantities in the market, do you feel that there was a much difference back then, or is it for you boring right now when you trade positions like 20, 50,000 quantities?
Uh, See, I won't use the word boring as such. I think the word that I like is being dispassionate about your positions or your strategy or whatever it is, especially during the market hours. When you have to execute, you have to do it in a very dispassionate manner. Because if you get involved, if you want excitement out of that, then there are good chances that you'll screw things up. Uh, After the market closes, when you're doing your research, working on a strategy, there's always a thrill, right? If you are at the edge of X, then there's always this thing in the mind: how do I get to X plus or X plus plus, right? And the market dynamics also keep on changing. The things that are working today, giving a huge alpha, it'll not be the same couple of years down the line. So you have to keep thinking and keep evolving. So that's the challenge, and that keeps you sort of excited, I would say.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, hi Manu.
Right.
Hi, I want to know about the risk management. Like in a day, how much percentage of capital do you take the risk, or in a month?
Uh, in a day, how much capital? Uh, Generally, my rule is to not risk more than 2% of capital per trade. Right, that's on the higher side. It could be only 0.25% per trade or 0.5% per trade, but highest is 2%. And if you have open positions, then each of these positions combined should not have an open risk of more than 5 to 6%. Earlier, this used to be on the higher side, but now I've sort of trimmed down because my capacity to take higher drawdowns has also come down. So it will vary for everyone, but if you follow this, then chances of blowing up reduce significantly.
Yeah, thanks, Manu.
Thank you.
So, what would you say on believing on your own trading system? Sometimes there are times when you're good at trading, but then maybe the market conditions is not the way it should be for your trading system, and maybe you don't follow through all the way. So about discipline and having a little bit faith in your trading system, what would you say on that?
Uh, I think there are objective criteria that whenever you deploy a system, you have to put down certain objective criteria which tell you that, okay, this system is not performing as expected, right? So, what could be these criteria? One, it could be, let's say, historically, the max drawdown that the system is seen is 15%. And currently, you're looking at after trading, you are at a drawdown of 20%, right? So at that time, you have to sort of doubt the system, like whether the edge is still there or it's gone. So this again is a big discussion. What could be? How do you sort of know whether the system is performing as per expectation or not? Then, if not, then what are the steps you take to eliminate the system or tone down the system? So that's a big discussion. Yeah, hi Raj.
I have basically two questions. One question is regarding the DOS setup, and the second question is regarding your positional caring for the tomorrows. So, for example, if on the next day, if uh, at least 1000 point is gap up or gap down, so how much time
Hmm.
do you wait to adjust your position, or you start maintaining the position immediately after market open?
I'll wait for a few minutes, at least 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes, just to see what the price is doing before I start putting in stop losses or I start taking in new positions. Yeah.
Okay, and the first question is about the desk setup, the setups you are using for your business.
Setup as in the physical setup,
Yes,
like
yes, physical
the
setup.
trade.
Yeah, yeah. Screens and all. How much
Uh,
screens do you use, and what type of all the data are you keep tracing before placing the entries?
okay, I use a laptop. That's it. I do not have multiple screens. I have one laptop. I have another backup laptop. I open it if there's a problem with this laptop. Apart from that, I have one internet connection which is attached to a UPS. So in case there's a fluctuation or there's a change in like uh, electricity goes off and then the genset comes on, so there's a difference of a few seconds. So I don't want the internet to be disconnected. So I have a UPS for that. Uh, Other than that, I want comfortable seating. So I have uh, like I sit on a sofa or on a recliner, and I walk a lot. So if not much action is there, so I just walk around, have some food. That's it. No. Like I like to keep it very flexible, not rigid that I'm sitting on a desk and uh, so that does not work for me. So yeah, so that's pretty much it.
But sir, if you are not using multiple screens, so watching charts on the same screen and placing orders from the same screen, so we won't get actual price. So there will be some up down in the pricing. So how you are managing that?
Yeah, so on my screen I have various tabs. I like on each tab I'll have the chart open. So I'll switch between tabs whenever required. And execution happens. I mean, if it's a limit order, then that's not a problem. Otherwise, I'll go with the market orders. There'll be some slippage, but that's fine.
Okay, okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Sir Sudhir here, good evening. Can I ask my question?
Yeah, please. Hi, Sudhir. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Okay. So there are a couple of questions. So first question is little bit hypothetical. So suppose there is no movement of price for a day, spot or future. Okay. And I want to calculate the premium decay for a given day. Suppose I want to calculate the premium decay on the Friday. So in the Friday morning, 9:15, the premium of Nifty price suppose 70 rupees. And I want to understand at the end of the day how much premium decay will happen for that strike. So is there any way that I can identify, I can calculate the decay?
Not really. Not really. What you can possibly do is take out historical data and look at what has been the decay in all the different days, plot it on a chart, see what is the distribution like. That will give you a sense day wise, like for a weekly expiry on a Monday between time 1 to time 2, this is the kind of decay you see 80% of the times or 60% of the times. So you can make a sort of a distribution curve basis historical data to get a sense. But what will happen? It's very difficult to sort of understand really.
Okay. Okay. So next question is so suppose I want to put a combined stop loss of my C and P leg both. So if C leg SL is hit, I want to get rid of P leg as well. So is there any possible way to do it manually without algo?
No, I don't know of such a way. Algo is the only solution here, I guess.
Okay. Okay. And one last question. So for beginner, I mean, what will be your advice to select the strike price for the day trading from the spot? So it will be 2 or 3 strike away from the spot, or what should be your advice? Sir?
Yeah, hi Sudeep. This spaces crash, so I was not able to get the complete question. Can you please repeat it?
Yeah. So my question is, so for beginner, I mean, actually, I scared of selling ATM strike. So what will be your advice to, I mean, which strike I should select to sell the, I mean, options?
Uh, See, if you go by the data, data will suggest that always go with the ATM sell. If you're doing intraday, anything you are doing intraday, go with the ATM sell. But if you're worried about gaps and you're doing positional, then probably do it sort of like 1 ATR away. I think that's a good place to start. So for Bank Nifty, if the daily ATR is around, let's say 500, 600 points, it'll vary. So you can, from the add the money strike, you can add 1 ATR and get started with that for position.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, sir.
Hello, sir. This is David.
Yeah, hi.
Sir, I have recently seen your videos on entry app, so that is really helpful. So just I want to ask whether you will start commodity videos also, because sometimes I am a working person, so I am not able to do trading market hours 9 to 3:30. So will you start commodity also?
No, not really. I am not very active in the commodity space right now, so not much that I can contribute to in your commodity-based learning. So yeah, so that's maybe in future. I don't know if I get into it. I would be happy to share.
Okay.
Hello, sir. Can I ask?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Sir, my question is: suppose you have 1% or 0.5% profit in the first hour, okay, and you know that it will go to 1.25 or more than that. So, how your psychology works means how you wait. Means at what moment in your trading journey you decided that I have to wait because as a beginner, people early should give early exits. So how you develop that means to wait, sir?
All right, good question. So, couple of points here. First point, you mentioned that if you are already up by, let's say, 1%, and you know that you're going to be up by 2% later on in the day,
Yeah.
right? So I mean, I don't think like that. First thing is, you don't know. That is a variable that you have to internalize. That no one knows what is going to happen. The 1% profit might melt down and it might go to hit the stop loss, or it might become like 4%, 5% profit for the day. So, first thing is we do not know, it's uncertain. Second is, as a beginner, it should be defined by your system. Your system should take care of this, ideally. So, whenever you take a trade beforehand, it should be decided what is the entry point, what is the stop loss, what is the quantity you are trading with, what is the risk in the trade, and what is the target or where you'll exit. And all you have to do is during the trade, just adhere to whatever you've decided, right? The biggest problems happen in trading when you start taking decisions after getting into a trade. So if you don't do that, if you avoid that, then that's fine. You'll be able to control your emotions and everything. Write it down on a piece of paper before taking the trade, all the key variables or all the key parameters, and stick to that till the end of the trade. No matter you know that okay, this is going to hit my stop loss. You're getting a very strong gut feeling about it. Doesn't matter. You take the stop loss, right? So that is how you develop that consistency in your trading. That okay, this is what I've decided. This is what I'm going to do. Hope that helps.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Can I ask a question, please?
Please go ahead.
Thank you for conducting this for us. I'm an option seller, and can you suggest good strategy to play around budget and election time?
Budgets are tricky, so even I refrain from getting or taking big positions during that time because things are very uncertain. You'll get big moves, volatility will be like all over the place. So a good strategy is to sit back and relax, I guess, just see what is happening. And once everything is settled, that is when you trade. Generally, what I've seen is post the budget, you'll get a trending move. That historically, that's what I've seen. So probably if you want to trade or maybe trade the budget piece, then wait for it to settle down, give it a day or two, and then if you get a trending move, hop onto that. Generally, good trends emerge after budget is what I've seen.
So nice. Thank you.
Hi Manu, how do we compound our capital in longer term?
Two simple things that need to be followed. At least that's what I follow. I know of. First is as your capital grows, as your profits come in, keep increasing your risk in absolute terms. You can keep it same in the percentage terms, but in absolute terms, you have to keep it. Keep increasing it. So, for example, if you started with a capital of 1 lakh, and after 1 year it becomes 2 lakhs, you had a good year, 100% return. So now, if you are taking a risk of 1% earlier, which means 1,000 rupees per trade, now you have to increase it to 2,000. It'll still remain at 1% per trade, but it'll be the 1% of the existing, the new capital, right? So that's the simplest. That's what compounding is about. You keep increasing the risk and the absolute terms as your capital grows. And the second thing is avoid taking out a lot of money from your trading account, at least in the initial few years, because the way compounding works is the initial piece is, it seems it's slower, and once it's like a snowballing effect that happens. So if you keep taking out money from your trading account in big chunks, then the compounding gets hampered. So if we follow these two things, I think should be fine.
Thanks, Manu.
Hi, Manu.
Hello.
Can I ask my question?
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello. Yes.
Hello, sir.
So my question was I am a system trader. So my question was regarding how to scale up your quantity. For example, if I have back tested my system for 3 years, so uh, uh, I have an X percentage of amount that I expect every month in return. So let's say I have X amount of capital, but I want to scale that up in the year long. So how do I scale that up? Let's say in the first month I generated 2x times. Then the third month, second month, again I scaled up the quantity, and then again I earned some profit. But on the third month, when I scaled up the quantities, I got a drawdown. So that drawdown would be much higher than the earnings from the 2 months. But if we calculate it on an Excel sheet with the same quantities, the system is good. But how do I scale that up? Because while scaling up, if the drawdown happens, then that would wipe out all my profits that I have earned. So how do I do that?
Yeah, so if I got this right, there are two things you're talking about. I mean, there are two things in general. One is organically scaling up, wherein you keep the risk as a percentage of capital, and as the capital grows, your risk per trade also grows. If you're doing it organically, then that's not a problem. Even if you get a third month, which is a drawdown, it'll not take away, I mean, unless it's a big loss, it'll not take away, it should not take away the first 2 months of profit. If you want to do it inorganically, wherein you get extra capital from outside or from some other sources of yours and want to put it in the system, a good time to do that is during when the system is in a drawdown. When the system is making all-time high, I mean, avoid putting in too much of extra capital during that time is what I would suggest. But yeah.
Right. And secondly, I am trading from the last 3 years. So I have started from trading one quantities, two quantities like that. So I have seen profits from ranging from 100 rupees, 200 rupees to now, like let's say it goes 5,000, 6,000. So my eyes and my emotions are linked to that. But whenever I try to increase my quantities and let's say the PNL goes to 11,000, 12,000, 15,000, then my emotions start running here and there. Like if my option profit is, if my option target is 60 rupees and if the price goes till 58, my heart starts to pump and it feels like breaking the discipline and just execute that order. So how do you handle that? Emotion.
I'm sorry, this spaces crashed, so I did not get your question. Can you please rephrase it again for me?
Sure. I started trading from my profits range from 100 rupees, 200 rupees to now, let's say it's 5,000, 6,000. But my eyes are used to that, so my emotions don't go higher in that term. But whenever I try to increase the quantities, like when the profit goes till 11,000, 12,000, 15,000, then my emotions start running here and then. Let's say the option target what I have kept is 60 rupees, and when the price goes to 57, 58, and it stops there, I just feel like executing it there only on the market order, which is I think I know it's wrong, but how do you handle those emotions?
I think there's a very simple method to handle this, which is think in terms of the percentage and not in terms of the absolute number. It's easier said than done, but that's the only way, because if you start thinking in terms of percentage or in terms of risk, it'll be balanced. I mean, it'll be balanced. It'll be the same number as you go on and increase your capital as well. So if you're taking 1% risk on a 1 lakh capital, you treat it as a 1%, 1 hour loss if it's a losing trade. Similarly, the same principle applies if you're taking a 1% risk on a 1 CR capital. So always think in terms of percentage or in terms of risk. So then I think that is what has sort of worked for me. I never think in terms of absolute numbers that, okay, this is the M2M or this is how it's fluctuating and all. I look at, okay, this is what I have risk in this trade and this is, I'm okay with if the stop loss gets hit, or this is like, if the return is there, then I'm okay with that as well, because a lot of times it should not also happen that you get too elated or too happy about, okay, this is, you made good money. So be like very dispassionate about it. Think in terms of risk or in terms of percentage.
Right, right, great. Thank you for your time, sir.
Hello.
Yeah. Hi, man.
Hello, I have a question, sir. I have a question.
Yeah, please go ahead.
For algo trading, nowadays so many platforms are available. Which platform you suggest?
I'm not much into algo trading, Amit, so I'm not the right person to discuss pros and cons and or to suggest which platform is better. There are a lot of experts on Twitter. You can probably get their views.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Hey, hello, Manu. Can I go next?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Sure. Thanks, Manu.
हाँ सर
Hello.
हाय मनु सर हेलो
Yeah, hi Srinivas. I think Indian guy, he had a question. Let him finish and then we can take your question.
hi sir, I'm big fan of you. Manu sir, you big fan of you, sir.
Yeah, thanks Srinivas.
Sir, I am a 24 years old.
So
Okay, sir.
go back, learn about different strategies, see what appeals to you. Then pick one strategy that appeals to you, backtest it, see what are the results. If it is profitable, then deploy it in the market with small capital and be disciplined with it for at least disciplined and patient with it for for the period of at least 6 months to 1 year. And
Okay, sir.
then again, you'll be in either of the two situations. One would be that you're still making a loss, or the other one would be that, okay, now you're making some decent profits. So if you're making a decent profit, then great. Think of adding another strategy. The same process goes on. If you are in loss, then again stop trading, go back to the whiteboard, and again try getting a new strategy. That is what I did myself, and I recommend young traders as
Okay,
well.
sir. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, sir, Manu sir. Thank you so much.
Hi, Mano. Can I ask a question?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Hey, Mano, I have 3 questions. Sorry for asking 3 questions. Number one is more about the weekend, right? I think every Friday people have a ambition. This is what is going to be market, and you take a trade. But the weekend, lots of events happens and things changes. How do you manage it on Monday? That's number one. Second is how often you change your strategy in terms of option selling, because option selling always goes with quite a lot of strategy and calculations and things you projected, and you do quite a lot of risk management along with it, given the size of the lot and the size that you manage it. How often you change your strategy? Basically, let's say you go with a particular strategy, do you immediately change it after the direction changes or not? The last question is more about. I know Rome was not built in over a day, right? I think the building a positions like this, it's not doable in a year or two. And what is your advice in terms of the people who comes into the market as a new? Because everybody sees the P&L and they think they can take, they go and take that kind of position. That's not really true, right? And it takes years of experience. It takes years of practice to, and also the capital to get into that kind of positions. Your views on that, Manu?
Sure. So I'll there's three questions I'm forgetting, but let me just recall. The first one was how do I like between days between Friday and Monday? How do I like take positions if there's a big break or something of that sort, right? So
Yep.
so let me give you some context. I run two books. One is system based. The other one is discretionary. So in case of systems, whatever system is saying, it has to be done without any question any day of the week. I don't think about it twice. So that is that. In case of discretionary, I try to keep Fridays a bit low key because generally, I mean, especially in option selling, you're not going to get too much of theta. But you sometimes get good directional moves on Friday. So I look out for a breakout or something of that sort, like the start of a new trend on Friday. That if I can do some debits, that's what I do. Right now, I'm holding debits, the call spreads that I took discretionary in my discretionary book on Friday. So that is how it is, right? Friday is mostly about taking a directional view and not about option selling for me. Uh,
Hello.
So I hope you guys got the first answer.
Yep. I think the first answer was okay, Manu.
Right.
Thanks.
Right. The second was around
Switching of strategy.
yes, switching of strategy. Correct. So there again, as I said, if it's a system-based trade that I've taken, then there is no change or tweak during the trade. It has to be completed. And if it's a discretionary book, then also for the discretionary trades, at least one thing that I make sure of is that there is some basic structure in place. It might be a loose structure that, okay, this is the maximum risk that I'm going to take in this trade that is predefined. There is one point which is defined that if this happens, then I have to exit the trade no matter what, because emotions might come in the way. So you have to like have those strict boundaries in place, and within that you can tweak a few things here and there. So that's what I do. Like system trade is there, it has to go as it is. If it's a discretionary trade, then I look at various factors. If there's some news flow coming ahead, what is the volatility doing, how many days to expiry are there, if there's something that some adjustment that I can do which is coming in very cheap. So all those variables come into the picture and the mind gets to work, and then you can make a few tweaks here and there. Having said that, what I would recommend for people who are starting off is that not to get into discretionary space. Stick to the system trading bit at least for the first 2 to 3 years, and post that, give it a try. Give a try to discretionary only with a small amount of capital. See if it works for you. Right. Right.
Amazing.
What was the third question?
I think the third question is more about looking at the size of the portfolio and the time it takes you to manage that kind of portfolio. The learners, the new learners or the newcomers, they just look into the portfolio and they profit and they get excited, right? So your view on that?
Right. So as you scale up, it takes a lot of learning as well. Doing the same thing with, let's say, a few lots, and doing the same thing with a few hundred lots is a different ball game. So execution becomes very important because there are chances of slippage, there are chances of something going wrong in a big way. So you have to sort of be very alert, I guess, and also be very focused and disciplined. Uh, you have to think about how you will enter, exit, and I mean, there'll be a strategy, main strategy, and within that, there'll be mini strategies that okay, this is how I'll enter this trade. Right. A lot of people who are trading big use algos for entries and exits. I think it makes a lot of sense because with the restrictions that have come in, the max quantity that we can trade in an index option, uh, for example, that has taken away. I mean, the number of orders are going up significantly for us to be trading manually. So it makes a lot of sense to have algo strategies for execution as you scale up. I'm not there yet, but when I get there, I think I'll be happy to use those.
Oh, you're so humble that you're not there that with such a large quantity. Anyway, thanks for answering all my questions. Thank you, Manu.
Thank you.
Manu, in fact, my question is exactly on those lines. So, the question I had was, when you're dealing with hundreds and thousands of lots, what is your specific execution? Because I've seen that a lot of the time you post your Zerodha account, so you are using Zerodha to some extent to trade. And something that I found is that even with using the APIs to place orders with the constant changing freeze limit, it can get quite tedious once you start crossing the 500 and 600, 700 lot mark. So what is your execution process? Because I've seen sometimes that you're trading upwards of 500 lots. So I found it very difficult, even with the APIs and having a custom program built. So what is your execution process when you're trading, especially, for example, on expiries? Do you want to switch your position very quickly? What is the most efficient way that you've found in your experience to do this? Thank you.
So till now, what I've done is I have a team who manually puts in orders. So that is one way of handling it. You distribute the orders that have to be put in amongst multiple people. The other way is the algo thing, which I've not really tried. But the manual thing, I think it works to a certain extent. At least at the volumes that I'm doing, it works fine. If you have a couple more hands to help you out with that, then it works out. I hope that.
Okay, got it. So you just spread the workload among multiple people to reduce the inefficiencies with slippage and all that.
Correct. But I'll be interested to know, because you're using algo, so it's doing a similar thing. It's even faster than a human. So you're in effect reducing your load, putting it on the algo. But what challenges do you face if you want to share?
So a challenge that I face is that essentially I cannot, especially if they're going to be quick moves on expiry, I cannot afford to place market orders. But at the same time, to get a limit order out, which is overbidding or over asking, and still curtailing slippage can be difficult. So it is a challenge I'm facing. I haven't found the proper solution to it yet. As of now, I have had upwards of 10, 15, 20% slippage at times. So it's still a process that I'm working on. What I have done at this point of time is using the APIs, I place market protection orders. It's something that I've got developed to an extent wherein I will overbid or over ask by about 10-15%, and I'll chunk it out. So if I'm trading the Nifty, I'll try to do it in sets of 56 lots or 112 lots, which is like one time or two times the freeze quantity. Because you cannot afford, like if you want to trade 50,000 shares on Nifty, you cannot afford to place an order, even if you're slicing it, for more than 10,000 at a time. Because assuming you place a 10,000 market order for something that's trading at 20, it will execute an average of 22. You cannot avoid it. So that's where I am. It's still a work in progress. So I don't think I've gotten around to solving it. But so far, this is what I'm doing. Yeah.
All right, got that. I think mostly on the stop loss side, this becomes a big issue. Entering is still fine. You might not get the quantity. That's okay. But on the exit side, it becomes very critical.
Absolutely. Yep. Thank you, Manu. I just wanted to check what you're doing because as of now, this continues to be a problem for me as on date. Yeah.
Got it. All right, guys. I'll probably take another couple of questions and then we'll wrap up.
Can I just ask the last question from my side, at least?
Sure.
What's your view on 2022? I mean, do you take a long-term view and do a selling like a December CE or PE or on a Nifty or Bank Nifty or what is your general sense of 2022, Manu?
See, the general sense going by the data has to be bullish because if you look at the yearly chart of the index, the percentage of times the yearly chart is a green bar is much higher than it being a red bar. So it is safe to sell a put. Like if you're planning to take just a few trades, probably on the quarterly expiry or maybe for December 22 expiry. So that one trade has to be, given the odds, has to be selling of put.
That's great. Thank you.
Manu sir, good evening very much. Sir, good evening.
Hi, good evening.
Sir, my question is, I'm a systematic intraday straddle seller, option straddle seller in Bank Nifty. Sir, I just want to know how to scale up the capital with this systematic trading. Could you please throw some light on that?
Two things that come to mind instantly. First is keep putting back your profits into the capital. So don't take out money from your trading capital till the time it is like
Right,
super urgent. And second, stay at constant risk percentage. So if you're risking 2% of your capital every day, so then as your capital grows, your absolute risk should also go up. So
Exactly.
so just do that. That's the only and the simplest way to sort of organically grow the capital.
So you want to say, sir, whatever profit I achieve month on month, if I find that if I'm able to increase it by 2 lots, so with that profit only I should keep enhancing my capital without taking capital out from the investment. Right, sir?
Correct.
Hello.
Yeah. Hi.
Hello. Hi, sir. First of all, thanks for being on Twitter. I learned a lot about psychology part. That one tweet changed a lot of things in me. That not to use profit of trading to change lifestyle. So it changed a lot. I have two questions. Like what your criteria to withdraw profits from your trading account to for personal use or to invest in other investment. And the second question about intraday straddles selling. So what is the best way to put stop loss? Like a few people put stop loss on the basis of price action or levels like support or resistance, and a few people put it on percentage basis. So what is your approach?
All right. Thanks for the kind words, Shubham. First question I'll take, how to take out money. It's a personal preference, I would say. For everyone, the answer. I mean, there's no one right answer. For me, I would say, mm, whatever lifestyle I have, it. I mean, that has to be managed. So money has to be taken out for that, plus for the taxes. So taxes have to be paid as well. So apart from these two, debits on the account, risk remains in there. Now, every now and then you feel like that. Okay, why don't I go ahead and buy something? Something really good for yourself or for the family. So, I mean, there one has to really think like what gives them, what will truly give them happiness. So, spending is good if it is giving you a lot of peace and satisfaction and happiness. So, but don't go after or chase what you hear in the society or what you see other people doing with their profits. It might be a very great, satisfying thing for them, but the same thing might not give you that much satisfaction. For me, I like traveling, which unfortunately not been able to do much for the past couple of years because of COVID. So when I am traveling, when I'm like going around places or having, I like to have good food as well. So then I don't think about how much I'm spending, because that is giving me a lot of peace and satisfaction and happiness. So yeah, that's my only thing. Then I have some very objective rules, I'll not invest more than 2% of my network in a depreciating asset in a given year. So whatever is my crash. So I was saying that it is person specific. Spend as much as you want, take out money as much as you want for things that really make you happy and give you satisfaction and peace, and do not do things just for the sake of showing off or getting influenced by what other people are doing with their profits. Having said that, it helps to have some objective personal finance rules. Like, for example, I have this rule wherein I'll not spend more than 2% of my net worth on a depreciating asset in a given year. Right. So if I have a net worth of 1 CR and I want to buy a car, then 2 lakh is my limit. So whatever you get in 2 lakhs, you can go for that. If you're not getting anything, then sort of wait for your time. Right. So having some basic personal finance rules will make sure that you're not uh, like doing something majorly wrong. And at the same time, it is also very important to understand that during the initial phase of your career as a trader investor, it's very important to grow your capital faster. So the sooner it starts to gather momentum, the better it is. So that's my personal view. And I think there was one more question which I'm sort of forgetting. I think it was around straddle, that if you're selling an intraday straddle, then how do you place your stop loss? Yeah. So there's no one right answer to this. The key here is that whatever you're doing, do it consistently. Backtest it if you can to see what is the best option. Don't optimize, just see what is giving a decent result without much deviation, and then stick to it. That's the only thing. Don't change it every 2-3 trades. Stick to it for at least a period of 1 year or so. All right, guys. It was great interacting with all of you. I'll be logging off now. Thank you everyone for joining in. Thanks for your time. Bye.
Hey, Manu, really thank you. I think you have opened up to the point and really amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thank